Hey, come see us live. We're doing our Rumble Time show September 27th in Los Angeles. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, and we'll be in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. Well, I just want to, before I let you go, I want to just make this one point. You talk about, you say that there's 5 biomarkers that determine your risk for deadly disease. And you also say how to, in the book, you show how to use inexpensive tools and technology to see inside your body and take action. And then you say why dietary philosophies are designed to confuse us, and 6 lifelong food principles you can implement whether you're a carnivore or a vegan. And then you talk about the crucial link between sleep, circadian rhythm, and metabolism. Those are the 2 things I want to talk to before I let you go. So what are the 6 lifelong food principles you can implement whether you're a carnivore or a vegan?
Well, can I step back at the highest level and address one other one and then get to those principles, Jimmy? Because I think if there's one point we make in the book, and in kind of carnivore, vegan, whatever you're hearing, it should all be about 5 biomarkers. Like any advice you get from me, from anyone else, it should be about what is your HDL, what is your triglycerides, what is your blood sugar, what is your blood pressure, and what is your waistline. Those are the 5 indicators of metabolic dysfunction. They're all essentially under our control. And you're going to hear so much from so many people, and it's basically organized confusion around whether it should be vegan, whether you should be eating meat, whether you should be doing this. If it should all be based on a game every patient is playing to get those 5 biomarkers under control. And those biomarkers can be gotten significantly under control in a quarter or 2. We could have done it during COVID with the mass rallying from the media and from the medical institutions. And, working with Democrats, also working with RFK now, and working on this Make America Healthy Again agenda, we could throw out all chronic disease guidance and shift the United States medical system to optimizing and working with doctors, working with patients to optimize those 5 biomarkers. And if those are under control, right, you by definition can't get type 2 diabetes because that's on the range of blood sugar. You have an literally almost 0% chance of getting heart disease. You have a almost 0% chance of getting Alzheimer's because that is now type 3 diabetes. You have an almost 0% chance of getting kidney disease. You have an almost 0% chance of dying of COVID. Right, you almost every single depression, suicide, you are 4 times less likely to be depressed or suicidal if you're not pre-diabetic or diabetic, which is one of those biomarkers. So, that's what we should all be gearing towards. And in the book, in the first chapter on the tips, is being able to read and understand those blood tests. I got on this journey several years ago when I got my blood test. The doctor said, totally fine. Went to my sister, my co-author, showed her the test. She's like, this is a disaster. You're brewing metabolic dysfunction. You are going to die early if you don't get this under control. I'm like, well, they said it was fine. Go back to the doctor. No. I'm like, is this true? They're like, yeah, it's really bad, but you're not at a treatable range yet. The way the medical system works is they wait for your cholesterol numbers to get up for a statin. They wait for your blood sugar levels to get up for a drug. You're not treatable. We all have to understand our biomarkers. On food, the high level principles are truly, if you can cut those unholy trinity of 3 ingredients of highly processed grains, of seed oils, of added sugar, you are 80% of the way there. You are 80% of the way there. And then you've got to hunt for things that give our cells energy. You got to hunt for fermented foods. You got to hunt for protein. You got to hunt for antioxidants. You got to hunt for key nutrients like vitamin D. Ideally, you're matching your nutrient needs with specific information from your blood test, which we go into. But you got to hunt for what feeds our cells and avoid those 3 ingredients, and you get a long way there.
Look at just real quick. When you say so, when I eat bread now, I eat this Ezekiel bread that's all sprouts or whatever. So I don't eat regular bread, but when you say ultra processed grains, now unfortunately, does that include pasta?
Okay, so we all hear about how you go to Italy and you lose weight, right?
Yeah.
By eating a lot of pasta. Fundamentally, ultra processed grains are what's in shelf stable food, and the processing is taking the fiber off, which makes it shelf stable. And I also, my personal belief is that our grains in the United States are a huge part of our problem because of the glyphosate and other chemicals, which are banned in all our other countries. So I do think if you're getting back to the natural source, back to the natural way things have been created for thousands of years, if you're doing true, like, grains that aren't covered in glyphosate, sourdough bread made the way it's been made for generations, I think that's okay. I think in general, our grains in the United States, I think it's becoming clear, are highly, highly compromised. But if you're buying bread like that, yeah, I mean, anything that's been how humans have eaten it for generations, I think is okay. I think the chemicals are a real problem.
So when I found out that in the United States they spray the wheat with that glyphosate, I started ordering my pasta that I make at home. This is during COVID. So I found a distributor here in the United States, Market Hall Foods, and I would get pasta from Italy, plus I would get the olive oil from a single source in Italy. And so I was only eating olive oil, butter, and the pasta that came directly from Italy. And I never felt better.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
It was amazing. I lost weight. I got in shape. 100%. It was... but then, of course, I got the vax and I got vaccine injured, which was not good. But so, yeah, do you think we will ever get to a place where we get rid of glyphosate? They know causes cancer, do they not?
Oh, they do, Jimmy. I'm very optimistic, actually. I'm relatively new to this fight and maybe too idealistic, but I had a small view into, getting to know RFK and calling him right after Trump was assassinated, and then, helping to connect him to President Trump, who I was also advising, informally his campaign. And I had a small view into their conversations, and just from my small vantage point, I can say, like, they spoke for hours and hours and hours about glyphosate, about children's health, about hormone disrupting chemicals in our food. It was like deep conversations about these issues, and they bonded over it. And, there's been more discussion of this at that level. Meeting with members of Congress, they're very frustrated on this. And what gives me hope is, like, it's so unimpeachable what's happening. And to me, the answers are simple. Get corruption out of the medical guidance. Get a report from the FDA immediately on what glyphosate is doing to our brains, to our cells, to our kids, to our microbiome. That's what they're doing in Europe. The problem is that the food industry is blocking that report because the food industry has completely bought off the USDA. Why is it the Food and Drug Administration? Why is 50% of the Food and Drug Administration paid for by pharma, who, as a simple statement of economic fact, wants us to be sick from toxic food? Right? You can decouple the funding for these agencies with the stroke of a pen. You can reset the purpose of the NIH to not be an R&D lab for pharmaceutical solutions, which it is right now, but back to foundational research. Jimmy, like, no NIH money right now is going to foundational research about why we're getting sick. None. Like, it's all pharmaceutical R&D. It's all accepting that we're all being poisoned by glyphosate, and then, like, marginal, like, Alzheimer's, pills, instead of actually trying to understand why we're getting Alzheimer's. So you can reset these things quickly. And we're working on executive orders, on congressional action. This is just a matter of political courage. It's not really a complicated issue, because I think it all revolves from the scientific guidance. I think if we have an unimpeachable report from the FDA on what glyphosate is doing, then policy chips can fall where they may. Then people can choose whether they want to go against the scientific consensus that we're poisoning ourselves, basically. On nutrition guidelines, I would recommend just taking France's nutrition guidelines. There are people in France live 5 years more than people in the United States. They have 3 times lower rates of diabetes. They have, like, multiple lower rates of obesity. Are we lazier than the French? Like, are we worse off? Like, no, it is clearly our guidelines and incentives. And we should just adopt what they're doing on food until we figure out what's going on. Because what we have right now is just I think the vitality of the American people is being snuffed out by corruption, which we can fix.
Well, it was really encouraging, and I keep making the point over and over that when RFK Jr. gave that speech at the Trump rally in Arizona, it
Right.
didn't matter if you thought that Trump was sincere about it. What mattered was that there was a stadium, not a room, a stadium full of Republican voters that were cheering on those things that used to be considered Democratic policy values. And
That's
right. So that's the thing that actually scares the establishment, the oligarchy, is people from the left and the right realizing we agree on more things that we disagree on, and then we come together to fight the oligarchy. That's why they keep trying to divide us left and right all the time. And those terms left and right don't even mean anything anymore, right? And they've weaponized those terms, and everything that the establishment doesn't like is right wing and alt right and racist. And so I think people are starting to see through it. I'm trying to do the best I can to help at this show, and I really help. Everybody should get a copy of this book. Here it is, Good Energy. And Calley Means has been our guest. I really.
Calley.
Did I say, what did I say, Calley? Okay, I'm bad. I'm sorry.
I get it all the time, Jimmy.
Okay, my apologies. But anyway, it's great to finally meet you and talk to you. I follow you on Twitter, and I think you're doing great work, and the book's fantastic. And is there anything you want to say before I say goodbye?
Jimmy, thank you. You're doing God's work, and this is getting out. It's the uniparty versus the people. I agree. And thank you for all you do.
Hey, come see us live. We're doing our Rumble Time show September 27th in Los Angeles. We'll be in Tempe, Arizona, and we'll be in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.